Smiling gently.
Smirking.
Okay.
Creativity is something found in an art class or a literature class because you use it all the time. You use it when you're in an art class and you're doodling or you're drawing or painting or sculpting something. And you use it when you're doing something like creative writing. And it really doesn't matter where you go with it because you have that creative mindset and you're really just flowing and ideas come from one to the next. And it really just is a flowing opportunity where you're just trying to worry about the journey, not where you're going. But you really don't hear the words creative math or creative science very often because that's not really what we enforce in schools or in businesses. And that really should be different because creativity has many, many benefits for having someone be successful in their life and giving them the skill set they need to get there. So what is creativity and how we do? When I say we all should be creative, who am I talking about specifically? And I say we, I mean all of us, because it really does make an impact when we're creative in our personal, our business, and our school lives. Because it gives us that independent mindset that we can think out of the box and think of solutions that we didn't know were there before. And specifically, I mean leaders and followers. By leaders, I mean bosses and managers and teachers. They have an impact on their followers, who are their employees and students. And anything a manager or a teacher says or does in a creative mindset does make an impact on their followers. And Albert Einstein said once that creativity is contagious, that you should pass it on. He wasn't wrong because it, like I said before, it gives you a skill set that's really valuable in today's world. In business, it's specifically important because it allows you to be different. Like these 6 people sitting at a conference table, they all have been trained to think in one way, to pigeonhole their minds into one way of thinking. Oh, that's not going to work because we don't want to be too risky, we don't want to be bold. But being creative gives you the opportunity to be like this guy standing up here. He's finding a new solution to a problem they have. And he's being able to think outside of the box and show his superiors that he can think for himself, and that he can come up with a new solution or a different solution, whether it's works the first time or works the millionth time. It doesn't work at all. It really doesn't matter because he has the mindset to be able to get there. This applies for teachers in school as well. Anything a teacher says or does make an impact on their students. As a student, you pick up these skill sets, and that's something that you use for the rest of your life. And teachers definitely should incorporate creativity into their lesson plans because it makes a difference. It makes a difference everywhere. It makes a difference on how that teacher is going to think for the future for their future students once these have grown up and graduated. And it makes a difference on how the students are going to think in their future and for their job. And it really does make a difference because creativity was ranked the #1 factor for business success. And it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. I can't say that creativity is necessarily something you can teach to someone, but it is something that everyone has a certain degree of and can be nurtured and developed. Things like art and literature, we know these things to nurture creativity naturally because it enhances on your artistic thinking skills, your independent, creative thinking skills. And creativity isn't necessarily something that can be absorbed. Because like I said, there's not necessarily a class for it that teaches you how to do it, but we use certain strategies and we use certain skills to be able to develop our creativity. And there really isn't a method, but one tip I do have is that you need to love what you're doing and enjoy something like the problem that you're dealing with. You need to be able to have that inspiration and that willingness and that drive to be able to go forward with your idea, whether you come up with the solution you wanted or not. They say there's nothing right or wrong in a creative piece of work. And a cartoonist once said that creativity is making mistakes and art is knowing which ones to keep. Like I said earlier, it's really not about whether or not you get the solution you wanted or the outcome you wanted. It's about the journey you took to get there. And it's about that creative mindset and the flow and the overall trip that it took to get there and that drive you used to get there, because that's something that's going to make a difference for the rest of your life. A lot of people don't have the drive that they need, and boosting creative thinking skills could help a lot with that. Creative flow is definitely something that you want because it's something that, like I said, makes a difference. And being able to go from one idea to another and just have it all flow is something that I think is really important, because a lot of people don't have that. Some people just come to a wall and think, oh, well, I'm not going to find that. Other people find a way around it or under it, and it really does help them be successful in the future. Creativity gives you an advantage over others. It gives you one foot ahead of other people when you're solving a problem, and not just over people, over the issue itself. When you're trying to solve a problem or figure out what you're going to do for a project, you really have to be able to think around problems. There's always a way to go over or under a problem. You're not always going to be stuck. And it gives you that advantage in that you're already one step ahead of everybody else. It doesn't take a lot to be ahead, and it really does give you that advantage. Creativity allows us to connect with people and allows us to be communicators. A study done on poetry and how it's inspired said that the more often a writer reported being inspired while writing a piece of poetry, the more often a reader reported being inspired while reading. And that's besides the fact that they never actually met. It was just the text connected. So creativity does help us be better communicators, and it helps us learn about one another's ideas and be able to accept and be cooperative with other people around us. Like I said earlier, creative math and creative science are really typically words we hear a lot. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be, and that doesn't mean we can't make them way. Things like experiments in science, you may not think of that as creative, but it really is in a certain aspect. In an experiment, you have a hypothesis, which is how you think something is going to turn out. And you take that creative flow and that creative journey to get there, and you make certain steps, and you may not be able, your hypothesis may not always be correct, and it's not always going to be correct, but it's going to give you a certain outcome that you're going to look at and say, hey, that's not what I thought. How about we try something else next time? How about we do something differently next time? And creativity really does give you the courage to be able to be different and say, hey, we can change this next time. So maybe we can get the outcome we wanted, or maybe we can solve a different problem. In math, we have things called discoveries, in which you're given a problem and you have to try and solve that problem, but eventually you hit a wall where you don't have the skill set or you don't have the tools you need to solve the rest of the problem, which is where you learn about another postulate or theorem or formula that you didn't know before, which is going to give you the skill set you need to solve the problem. And that's going to give you the ability to apply these tools to solve other problems. Creativity doesn't really, it depends on which person you're talking to. Some people have nurtured their creativity in different ways. Other people have not nurtured it at all, and it's very basic. And it doesn't really reflect how intelligent a person is. Intelligence really has nothing to do with it. But it does tell me about someone's ability to be self-sufficient and their ability to think for themselves and think independently and think outside of the box and show me that they can do above and beyond. They can go above and beyond and solve a problem the way I didn't think of before. And everybody has nurtured their creativity in different ways. And it really does a lot of good to see how other people think about things and how other people have been nurtured their creativity to think about certain things and how that may be different from your aspect. Overall, creativity is very important for success, and it's a lot of adults don't have that skill today and don't have the ability to think outside the box and be different and be courageous and say, hey, maybe this isn't working, let's try something else. And overall, it's what's going to lead you to be successful in life. And it's something that we should really try to change because overall, it's celebrated and encouraged in a general aspect. But when it comes to school and businesses, it's rather hard to find. And I think we should work to change it.
Very good. That was much better today, for sure. That was
Does that make
really
any
good.
difference?
Yes.